Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Good evening, my friends. This is Angy Stewart, and today is Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and we are here live on Kardec Radio. So our program had stopped for a couple months due to many of my occupations, and finally I'm back. We do this program once a month, always on the first Thursday of the month. So hopefully you can join us in the next months so we can finalize this beautiful book. So this is the book, Heaven and Hell. This is one of the 5 books of Kardec's codification. And very few people read this book. They are not aware of the book. Most of the people, because they are afraid of what is heaven and hell. But this book is not really about heaven and hell. This book is about beautiful messages that were brought to us from the spirits. So this book was organized by Kardec throughout many of his mediumship meetings. And in that time, in the 1800s, it was very common to do evocation because Kardec was learning. Kardec was putting the books together. So it was very important for him to understand the other side, the side from the spirits. So we will talk more about that. And our second book is this. What is Spiritism? So this is a much smaller book with beautiful comments from Kardec, and he analyzes many different topics. And today we are going to be talking about the dangers of mediumship. So it's important for us to understand. People only talk about, oh, it's wonderful to talk to spirits. But you have to understand the guidelines, why it could be dangerous as well. So to all of this, I will be inviting my guests in a few minutes. But right now, make sure you have your water bottle with you. And we are going to do a quick initial prayer. And then we are going to start talking about the chapter of tonight. So close your eyes if you're comfortable, and let's elevate our thoughts to God. God, our Mother and Father, thank you so much for your help, your presence, the good vibrations that we are feeling at this moment. We ask also inspiration and guidance for our guardian angels, for the good spirits that protect this work. And we ask inspiration as well to our friends, our guests of tonight, so we can all have a beautiful conversation and most of all, enlightened. Thank you. So be it. So I will be bringing my guests of tonight. So the first one is Juan. Hello, Juan.
Hi, Angie. Good to see you.
Very good to see you. And thank you so much for being also an inspiration and always asking me, Angie, come on, what is Kardec Radio? So super happy to have you here with us again. But just for our guests that will be seeing this later on to know, just tell a little bit about where you are and how you end up in miainnerlight.
Okay. I'm in Coral Gables, and a few years ago, a couple of years ago, I found Miami INNERLIGHT, to my delight, because I was going to another Spiritist center, which was further up in Miami, North Miami, and it was quite a trip to try to go on a Tuesday evening. So finding Miami INNERLIGHT was delightful. I have made a lot of friends. I enjoy the meetings, and it's just been just great to be part of the center.
I have to say that in few years you had a lot of knowledge, a lot of knowledge. That's really you are a reading machine. Very, very good.
I
Very,
wish. I
very
wish.
good. That's great. So now we bring Mary. Hey, Mary. Thank you
Hi.
all for being here, accepting the invitation. Super happy to have you here with us. So the same thing with Juan. Just tell us a little bit about where you are and how you discover miainnerlight.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Angie, for the trust, for inviting us. And well, I started actually with miainnerlight, and similar stories. One, I had to leave because of traffic, and I was in the beginning torn between conscious living and miainnerlight because they're both. And I'm guessing that's where you used to go.
Yeah.
We crossed. Like I used to be at Mia and went to Conscience, and you went from Conscience to Mia, big for same reasons. But I'm happy I'm there. I'm learning and growing a lot. There are two wonderful groups. It's just amazing that we can have two places that we can study at, and these wonderful people to help us out and help us understand and just grow together. I'm in South Beach. I'm in Miami, South Beach, and I kind of know Angie from New York. From I know all her crew from New York, and I think we both came here basically around the same time. So so
Well,
that's the story. I miss
time
you guys.
flies. Yeah, I moved here in 2017. I
Oh
moved
no, I
to.
came after you. 19, right beginning of COVID.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I came in 17, but it's amazing. We are already almost in 2025. I can't even
You
believe.
believe it?
Crazy, crazy.
I
Time
know.
flies. But as time flies, we don't have a lot of time and we have a lot to talk. So, again, to the ones that will be listening to this recorded, we are going to be talking about the book Heaven and Hell. And we are in the second part of the book, divided first and second part. We are in the second part, and the second part is all about mediumship, is all about the spirits providing knowledge of what happened to them after they pass. And Kardec is so smart. He divided the book in so many different chapters, and he started with the enlightened spirits, and he started going down and down and down. And this chapter is a little bit difficult because this chapter talks about the suicides. So we know in Spiritism, we know when you commit a suicide, this is a very, very bad item. This is really, really painful, not just for your physical body in that moment, but for your spirit itself, because your perispirit, that's the semi-material envelope that surrounds your spirit, is badly affected by the whatever was your act. So this brings consequences for your afterlife. So what we will be talking, it's all about what happened to the spirit. There are many spirits. We only have around 40 minutes, 45 minutes. We cannot comment on all of them. So we will try to comment a little bit of most of them. And the first thing that's important for you to know, especially if you are hearing this for the first time, you are not very used to Spiritism, this book was written in the middle of the 1800s. So the language used in that time is very different than the language used nowadays. So in the book, many times the spirits mention they are being punished. They feel a lot of pain. And what is important for us to understand is that God does not punish us. What happened to us, we live the consequences of our acts. So if we act well, the consequence will be a good one. But if we act in a negative way, the consequence will be negative. So throughout the comments, we probably will talk about that some of the spirits, they committed suicide because they imagine certain thing would happen. They didn't have a true understanding. And because the act that they killed themselves because they believed something, they were doing something good, or they were helping someone, or they were going to be with a loved one, this is something that gives them a little bit of a break. So the pain is not so long and so harsh, but it is necessary to go through the consequences of the act. This is the main concept. And Kardec separated many cases of the most common cases, why people kill themselves in the 1800s. And it is still like today. And unfortunately, it seems that more time pass, the increase of numbers of suicide is really something crazy. It's very, very, very sad. And that's why it's so important to understand the Spiritism, because the Spiritism gives us hope, give us the understanding that whatever we are going through, even if it's extremely painful and difficult, it will pass. We need to persevere and things will change. When you despair, you remove your life, your body dies, but your spirit will be alive and in pain. So we are going to start with some of the cases, and I will ask Juan, which case do you want to start talking about? Juan, gives us a little bit of a concept.
We'll take them in order, I guess. But before that, I was listening to a Divaldo Franco lecture today, and he made it a point to recommend that the Kardec book, Heaven and Hell, be read. And he made the same point you were making, Angie. He said, of all the books that he wrote, this is the one that people don't really read. Not that they avoid it, but, just maybe the title, he said, is what scares people. And as you were talking, I was smiling because that's exactly what he said. Anyway, so this book is really amazing. Every time I read a Kardec work, I'm really surprised because he tells you things that not only reinforce what you already know, but he throws in something new. And to me, after reading this chapter, I found out a few things that I hadn't really thought about before, I guess, and or didn't know. The theme is that all this is our ability, or not our ability, our attempt to evade the trials of life. That's what Kardec calls suicide. We're simply not following the course that we ourselves, before incarnating, wanted to follow in order to complete our journey. And the thing that really struck me as new to me, which I hadn't heard before, is that you will have to stay in the dark side of the afterlife, as he writes it, for a time equal to the one you evaded by committing suicide. That was new to me. I guess I hadn't heard that before. And in other words, if a person's life plan in an incarnation is to die when you're 80, let's say, and for some reason you commit suicide when you're 30, well, now it's clear to me after reading this thing that somehow, you're going to have to make up the other 50 years that you didn't live. And that was new to me. I guess I didn't know that before. So interesting. Anyway, so
what happened, just for public in general to understand, as you didn't know. So what happened is that when we reincarnate, we have a plan. We have a reincarnatory plan. So we know when we are going to be born, and we know more or less when we are going to die. So we have a fluidic energy. For example, the case you mentioned, this person reincarnates and has fluidic energy to live until 80, for example. It doesn't mean that it has one day that we will die, or that day arrives you die. No, it's a period of time that can be between like 2-3 years, more or less. But in that period of time, so you have around 80 years of energy. And it also doesn't mean that when you reach to that age, doom, you're dead. Like, for example, the medium Divaldo Franco, he had a period of energy that he was supposed to die, but he begged the enlightened spirits to stay longer because he was working hard towards the population, towards the children. And then he had extra years that he was granted, and now he is 98 years old, so he got a lot of extra years in his disposal. Wow. But to be like Divaldo Franco, I would like to be 98 too, because his memory is incredible. It's like, wow. But exactly like you said, if unfortunately the person committed suicide at 30 years old, there is all this extra energy that is there, and he dissipated it. So he will have to go through that period of time to burn this energy. Sometimes it is possible that this person will be able to reincarnate immediately for whatever reason, just to help this person. But the body will have the consequences of the suicide. But it's always depend case to case. It's very difficult for us to explain. But very good point. Thank you for mentioning.
Yeah, it's like we're one big battery. And we have, that's exactly it. We'd have all that vital energy. And I always think of that commercial, still going. The little bunny.
yeah,
Oh, yes, yes.
Gotta burn that energy. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So which case you were going to start talking, Juan?
Well, I'll take the first one. This is the guy that checks himself in a hotel in Paris, I guess, and asks to have a bath. And then when they later come to see what is happening, they find him in the bathtub, and he had slit his throat or something like that.
Yeah.
And then there's an evocation at the Parisian Spiritist Society. They decide to call him to find out why he had done this. And he tells them that he killed himself because he felt abandoned. Not a great reason to kill yourself, but I guess he felt he had to do it. He felt that his soul was still connected to his body as he was talking to the folks doing the evocation. And there was a picture that was a little disturbing. You know, he talks about he kind of felt the worms were eating at his body. You know, that was a little creepy, but
that should stop a lot of people from trying.
That's right. If you were thinking about killing yourself, don't, right? Anyway, he talks about that sensation of really being in despair, and clearly he regrets having done it.
Yes.
And this is the this is the page where I really got the information that whenever somebody does that, they're going to have to stay and overcome the problems that they have for the length of time that their incarnation should have completed. So, a very simple case, but it teaches us that there's a sensation that you have done something wrong.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Oh, we have a comment here, but from Mark. So Mark mentions, didn't Chico also get an extension of years to continue his contributions? Yes, Mark, he also did. You know, he died, I think was 99 years old. Seems like when you were doing good, you get these extensions and you're still doing relatively good. So yes, this can also happen. So we should do the good work so we can have extensions to live more, continue doing good for others, but relatively good within ourselves too. One thing that's important for people to understand, people that are new to the Spiritism, that we do not do evocations anymore. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, these were done in the middle of the 1800s because Kardec had to codify the book. Nowadays, mediumship meetings are not to call spirits, but it's more or less what Chico Xavier, the Brazilian medium, mentioned. The phone rings from there here. So in the mediumship meeting, we are not calling them. They are coming by themselves and they are telling their stories. And many times suicidals come and they tell the situations they are going through, the pain, and like 99.99 of the suicidals, they mention in the moment they jump the bridge, they pull the trigger, they drink the poison, they regret it. But then it was already too late. So
before we move to the next one, I'd like to read a paragraph here that I think captures the whole thing. It says, the suicide spirit remains connected to the body until the time his life was supposed to have ended otherwise. This is the comment I made before. And it goes on to say, natural death is liberation from earthly life. Suicide shatters it entirely. Okay,
yes.
so the fact that the spirit remains connected to the body was new to me. I didn't have that information before.
Yes, that's a painful, but yes, that's true. Mary, which one would you like to start talking about?
Well, before I talk about the case, I like to comment on the one Juan D just read, and just a reminder that the reason why this man killed himself because he felt lonely and abandoned. And I would just like to leave registered here that um, Jesus say, "You will know the truth, and the truth will free you." So the more we study, especially the gospel according to Spiritism, we will know that we are never alone. We have so many friendly spirits aside from our mentor or our guardian angel, if you want to call it. Of course, we have God and Jesus Christ, but so many friendly spirits that and when we learn that, we don't feel alone anymore. So just a little encouragement for those watching us and feel alone. If that thought ever crosses your mind, just remember that you're never alone.
Yes, and another thing, a friend of mine yesterday, she sent me a message and she said, Angie, I'm feeling really bad because I am very lonely and I never got married. My mother is very old. I had very few friends. I really don't know what to do, and my future. It's not looking bright. And then I told her many things, but one of the main things I said is, when you are charitable, you are never alone. So there is a sentence of Chico Xavier that talks about this too. When you do charity, you will meet other people that also want to do the same type of charity. And then you end up making friends. You end up opening your horizon to start doing things you never thought about. So this is very important for us to think. I know a lot of people think of my family, my house, my. But when you start thinking about others, we start making our friendship bigger. We start meeting more people, and this brings a light that can change the amount of people or whoever we know. This also can bring some help and hope to those
Yeah.
that are lonely. Go ahead, Mary.
Yeah. So moving on to the cases, I'm going to actually talk about, if not the last one of the last ones, which is about a mother and son. She killed herself because her son was ill, and she thought that he was very close to dying. She says goodbye to him, goes in the other room, and hangs herself. And when evoked, she says, "I want to see my son. Do you have the power to deliver him to me? They are so cruel. They took him from me to lead him into the light, while they left me in the darkness." So, this mother, thinking that she was going to be with her son, and a lot of people, I've heard a lot of stories like that, where people think that someone dying, if they kill themselves, they're going to be together. So wrong. And instead of making a quick reunion, they're just making it longer, and they're going to be apart longer. So with that, I would also like to comment on the way we see things and people, like material, and mind that we are material, we are made of material. That the way we said, like Angie was saying, my son, my mother, my wife. No, we're all brothers and sisters, and we need to look at each other that way. You are my brother or my son now in this life, but you are not mine. Our children were lent, God loaned us that child to care for and to lead that soul back to him, but they're not ours. We don't possess our children. They don't belong to us. And so I think that's a very powerful one. And there's one about the father also that killed himself so the son wouldn't go to war and leave the mother alone. So all these reasons, and it's funny, like Angie said, still in our days, people are still doing that for basically same reasons. And what is really, really sad, I was in a study recently, and they were talking about how 4-year-olds are committing suicide, like children, like little children. It's getting, and Joanna Giangeli says that's the biggest, one of the biggest, um, what's the word I'm looking for? One of the toughest things that we're going to be going through um, in this era. It's like people taking their life. It's like all the pressure, too much, all the wars, everything going on financially, political, and
Yeah.
everything going on. What is going to keep us together? It's faith, love, family, and friends. We need to stick to those things because times aren't really that easy, but we need to remember that God is in control.
Yes, no, you're totally right. It is very, very sad when little kids take their own lives when they can't cope with this or with that. It's a
4 years old, isn't
yeah,
that? I was in shock when I heard, and it's a large number of children taking their own life.
4. My God.
Yeah. So
Yes.
the world just needs a lot of prayer.
Yeah.
We just need to constantly be praying for us, for the ones that don't pray. We need to make up for the ones that never pray. It's like constant prayer and positive energy and good vibes.
Yes, it is true. It is true. When we have the understanding that the life does not end with the death of the body, it opens our eyes, and we bring this to our kids, to our family. We talk about it, and even if they don't believe, it's a little thing that they start thinking, oh, maybe she's right, and it's funny, like. Right before coming up, I was downstairs watching a movie with my husband. It's an American movie, and it was talking about reincarnation. I was like, oh my God, this is great, because it's in the American movies. We know that lately a lot of spiritual movies are being made, and not just by spiritists, but by Hollywood. And this is like one of these mega productions, and he's talking about the many lifetimes of this man. So I'm like, wow, one day the understanding of reincarnation will be fully spread. Everybody will know about that. It's not like nowadays that people think, this is like great imagination, but it's not true. And hopefully one day people will understand this is what really happens to us. So let's continue. Go ahead, Juan. Tell
Okay.
us another one.
I'll take up where Mary just left off by talking about the father who killed himself to prevent his son from going to war, because by doing so, the son would acquire the title of sole surviving son of a widow, and therefore he wouldn't go to war. The book tells us that that noble reason got him some relief. So there is he gets some credit for having done this for a good reason, but he still has to go through everything that a person that commits suicide has to go through according to his deeds, as the book tells us. So even for a noble reason, you still have to make up.
Yes, go through the pain. Yes.
Because the book also mentions that if it wasn't so, all the killing and crimes committed in religious wars would be okay, and you wouldn't be charged with that. So, but
Exactly.
it's also an interesting thought. What happens if somebody dies while trying to save another person? You see somebody trying to jump off a bridge, and then you try to, and you die in the process.
Yes,
Did
there are many comments about that.
Yeah, there's a comment. Yeah,
comment the spirit says is that who said you were going to die because of that?
Yeah, the book
because
says
many times someone jumped to save the other and is able to save the other and save himself too.
Yeah.
But if the person dies saving the other, it's not suicide.
Yeah.
It is having a merit, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was going to read that the book says. But
oh, okay.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Okay, Angie.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Juan. So there are so many cases. So some of the cases there were like, there is one case that you guys probably remember. There is this individual who is in love with this girl. They have a discussion during a dinner time, and then this big discussion, and then she just breaks up the relationship. She says, that's it. I don't want anything else. That's it. He passes some weeks and he's trying to go back. He's trying to beg her to forgive him. And then this is not going to happen. And then reached to a point that he's like, okay, I'm going to try again. He goes to her house, knocks at the door. She does not answer. she does not care, and she's like, that's it, it's done, I don't want to go back. He kills himself. And then Kardec and his the group of mediums, they are able to talk to the spirit, and the spirit tells that he repents very much of doing it, that he is going through a lot of pain, and unfortunately, what he did was not even worth it, because when he crossed to the other side, he understood that she never loved him, and she was just searching for the opportunity to break up the relationship. And now he's in the other side, going through all this turmoil. But even like this, they comment asking, do you think she did this with bad intentions? And then the spirit doesn't even have a lot of problems against her. He said, no, she is a good person. Unfortunately, she was not through with me, but she's not a evil being. So this is interesting. I have a comment here from Julio. So, good question. What happened if you sacrifice yourself to save the other? Well, I already
I was just reading that.
I already answered. If you do sacrifice yourself to save other, this is not considered a suicide. This will have a lot of merit. You're going to be a hero in the spiritual realm. That's going to be different. So, what else? Any other case? We should talk about the lovebirds, Romeo and Juliet style. Who wants to talk about this one?
I'll take a shot. This is a double suicide, the one you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. Two people who love each other for circumstances beyond their control must follow different paths and marry other people. That's what the book tells us. They're faithful to their spouses at first, but finally get together and decide to end their lives so they can be together and away from all the problems. And I happen to know one case, just exactly like that. I was reading this page in the book, and I was thinking about these people I used to know that exactly went through this. So it was kind of tough to go through some unhappy memories. So they're made to understand that their actions resulted in being where they are afterwards through the evocation, but they also are allowed to believe that their present state will not last forever. Okay? So I read something in this book, and maybe you and Mary can help me understand it a little bit better. There is a comment talking about punishment, or is the word that is used, will last for several incarnations. And I was scratching my head, and how does that work? Can you shed some light on that comment, Angie?
Yes.
You commit suicide, and you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have to make it up. But you do that through several incarnations. I haven't heard.
Yes. What happened? Well, first of all, every waking up from a suicidal is different. We can never say you shoot your head, this is the consequence. There is a generalization, but it can be many different consequences. The most common one, for example, is if you shoot your head, you damage the part of your brain, and you damage also your perispirit around your head. So you will come back in the next reincarnation. And one of the thousands of possibilities is that you will come back with this area damaged. So you will have some kind of mental problem in this area. But it could also happen that, for example, you come back, and instead of coming like with Down syndrome, for example, you come with another type of problem in the head. If, let's suppose, you end up dying of brain cancer, something that affected your brain. So there are many different things that can happen, but it's almost like if it goes in many reincarnations, will be homeopathic doses. Instead of having one reincarnation that is going to be very, very tough, it can happen that in many reincarnations, each one, you will have to suffer, to go through certain pains related to your suicide. So this is what mentions that in certain occasions, the consequences of your suicide will go through many lifetimes. So instead of taking one difficult one, there will be many with smaller problems. So this is like the understanding.
Okay.
So it's very hard for us to give exactly what it is, because only God knows what we will be able to face. And that's why each one carries their own cross, because it's not everyone that's capable of facing the same difficulties. As we know, the spirits that are responsible for our reincarnations, they know how much we can handle, and they help us to be able to have a very good reincarnation, a reincarnation that we can overcome our difficulties. That's more or less what it means.
Okay. No, it's a good explanation. Thank you.
Mary, do you want to comment any other case?
Not on any other case, but I would like to just before we leave, because we're almost there. It's 44 minutes already. But just a quick reminder that suicide isn't just putting a gun against our head or the throat. Suicide is overeating. It's drinking alcohol. Everything that you do to damage your body. And the movie Astro City will show that with Andrea Louise. So we should keep that in mind, that we can kill ourselves in other ways.
Yes, no, this is a very, very good reminder. Very good reminder. And it's true. When we talk about dying by suicide, that's how we think. And there are so many other ways, like smoking, drinking, all kinds of excesses. Excess of sugar, excess of salt. We have to be careful to don't damage our body, because we can be committing suicide unintentionally. You are not paying attention. You are thinking of something else, but deep inside, this is really destroying your body. So we should really be thinking about that. We have another question here. So Julio said, Anna, if we don't know that we are damaging our body. Well, Julio, if you don't know that smoking like a chimney, you are damaging your body. If you're drinking a beer every single day, you're becoming alcoholic. If eating too much sugar and you are diabetic, if you're eating too much salt and you have a hypertension, all these items are kind of obvious, because most of people know. But if for whatever reason a person is committing something and they are not fully aware of what they are doing, then, as Juan mentioned before, they will have a discount, because they were not absolutely aware of the damage they were doing to their body. But they still will have to face the consequences of what they did, even if they didn't know exactly what they were doing. That's the problem.
And
And
that's
then
how we learn.
says, sorry, what?
I said, and that's how we learn.
Yes.
When we face the
Exactly.
consequences, that's how we learn. And Julio, by the way, that's not your case. You know better.
So Julius said, and if we're destroying the planet, maybe we are all suicidal. Oh my God. Well, we have to do our part, do your part, recycle, reuse, do the best you can, and tell your kids to be doing this as well. So this will help. Unfortunately, we can't change government, but we can change our own homes, and this is already something. But because of our time, we can't be continue talking too much about this. It's an amazing chapter, amazing chapter. If you all could go to the book Heaven and Hell and read the chapter about the suicides, you will be able to understand in details each single case. But one thing before we move to the other book that's very important is that nowadays there is so many ways to help people with suicidal thoughts. There is a hotline that you can tell someone to call 24/7. You call, there will be someone in the other side that will help you. And if this person is a spiritist, can come to the Spiritist Center, can do a fraternal counseling, can do some kind of a therapy. There are passes. There are therapies that takes weeks, and a lot of people pray for you. And there is always the light in the end of the tunnel. Remember, charity changes your mind. You think your life is miserable and you are the unhappiest person in the planet. Go to help the homeless. Go to feed them. Go to a soup kitchen. Do something. You will understand that your pain is not so big. Or even if your pain is big, there are other different types of pain. And when you help others, you receive so much help. So hopefully people that are listening to us, they can understand that the body dies, but the spirit lives forever. And we're going to have many reincarnations. And hopefully every single one better and better, with learning, as Mary mentioned, learning with our past mistakes and not repeating them. That's the very important part.
Yeah.
So we have to move to our second book, although we're not going to have time. You guys, can you see? Is it big enough for you to read?
Oh,
Let me put a little bit big. Oh no, here is.
it's fine. It's fine, Angie. It's fine.
Oh, okay, awesome. So let's start. Mary, could you start reading for us just the blue areas so we have time to comment a little bit more?
Okay. One of the greatest dangers regarding mediumship is obsession, i.e., the control that certain spirits may have over mediums by imposing themselves on them with apocryphal names.
Apocryphal, yes.
Apocryphal names. This is also a danger to the new and inexperienced mediums, observer.
Okay, very good. So so we are talking about danger mediums might encounter. So we are talking specifically about mediums, but this is about every single person. So we can think about what would be the dangers for mediums, because mediums are the ones who communicate with spirits intensively. They are called ostensive mediums. Are that the people that can see, can hear, can feel? These are called ostensive mediums. Even if we all can have like the sensations, we dream with spirits, But when we talk about ostensive mediums, are the ones that we are talking. So in this case, Kardec is mentioning one of the problems that's called obsession. So here in number 71, he describes a little bit more what obsession is. So Juan, could you continue reading, please?
Sure. Obsession presents three main well-characterized degrees: simple obsession, fascination, and subjugation. In the first, mediums are perfectly aware that they are not receiving anything good, and they are not mistaken about the nature of the spirits who insist on manifesting through them, and from whom they would love to disentangle themselves. This sort of case is not all that serious. When the spirit tires of not being listened to, it leaves. Fascination is much more serious in that the mediums are completely deluded. Spirits who control them gain their trust to the point of paralyzing their judgment in analyzing their communications and making them believe that the most absurd things are truly sublime.
So here we already have two types. We have the simple obsession, that's like a spirit influencing someone, influencing the medium in the case. And then the second type is fascination. So fascination is more serious. So this is something more serious. Let's continue understanding a little bit more about fascination. Mary, could you continue?
Sure. What they themselves write is good, just, and true, rejecting even regarding as evil all critical advice and every critical observation. To break off relation with their friends rather than admit that they have been deceived.
So in this portion, Kardec is talking about fascination when the medium starts believing deeply what the spirit is saying, and whatever someone is going to tell him or her, they don't believe. They just think what the spirit is telling them, and this is the big danger when a medium gets fascinated by a spirit, and the spirit starts saying, "Oh, you are the best medium in the world. You can channel Jesus. You can channel this and that," and the medium believes it. Then it's a danger, because the medium stop listening to other people in the meeting, stop listening to many times to other spirits, and they start like channeling one spirit with many wrong ideas. So this is a very, very big problem.
Angie,
So
can I say something?
sure, please.
I was actually in a mediumistic meeting where that actually happened,
Uh-oh.
where this medium, she used to always have only like beautiful messages and from mentors. And when the director of the meeting, we called the meeting uh, to talk about the communications, and
Yeah.
something was mentioned to her, she was so upset and she left the group, because how could they not believe her? And they were just saying, be careful, because if you're getting, like in a mediumistic meeting, you get suffering spirits, you get different, but hers were always mentors, always the higher spirit. And so when that was brought to her attention, she really got upset and left the group.
Oh, this is so upsetting. That's why it's very, very important, people that participate of the mediumship meeting, to study deeply the medium's book, so they can understand all these dangers. Because fascination, it really makes the people like this, they don't listen to anyone, and they think they are always right. They think the spirit is like a very important spirit, and sometimes they are saying things that are like disconnected, the things that are really strange, And unfortunately, these people, they become like this. So it is very, 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 very sad, but unfortunately, it is possible. We have to be aware, and it's really a danger. So let's just continue 72 and 73. Juan, could you read for us 72, please?
73, right?
72.
Yes. Let's go to this one. Is the continuation. Just go to the 73.
Okay. Subjugation, which used to be called possession, is a physical coercion exerted by spirits of the worst kind, and it can even neutralize the obsessee's free will. It is often limited to simple, disagreeable feelings, but sometimes it causes disorderly movements, foolish actions, screams, or incoherent or offensive words. The mediums subject to it are at times aware of their ridiculous behavior, but they can do nothing about it. This state differs essentially from pathological insanity, with which it is wrongly confused, because in obsessive subjugation there is no organic lesion, since the cause is different. The curative measures must also be different. Applying the standard procedures of doses and physical treatments to obsessive subjugation may often induce true insanity where there was nothing but a strictly moral cause to begin with.
Yes, and it explains here that this douches, the way was the treatment, is a hydrotherapy that was widely used in the term in the treatment of nervous and mental diseases in the 1800s. So as we can see, subjugation is a step above. It's like the most difficult of them all. It's like the medium don't even have full control of his physical body and sometimes even his mind. So it's really like doing whatever the spirit is telling him or her. So this is another situation that's even more serious than the one Mary comment. But the important thing for us all to understand is what we already know. Pray and watch. Because if you are participating in a mediumistic meeting, if you are studying with a group, it's very important for us to be open-minded and to listen to the comments of the others. The group is together. That's why mediumistic meetings are not done in the house of a person. It is done in the Spiritist Center, where is a protected environment, where there is a prayer in the beginning, a prayer in the end. People don't do these meetings just for silly reasons. It's very serious. It's part of a charitable work of a Spiritist Center. So to the majority of the people, this is just something for you to understand. But to the ones that work with mediumship, it's very, very important to leave these words, to study. And when you observe something different, be careful. Search for help in your own Spiritist Center, so the group can help you to understand what's going on, what needs to be changed to avoid this from getting even more serious. If it's not treated, then the medicals and doctors of the physical body, they will say that the person is schizophrenic, and that's it. Then there will be medication. And we already know that many times the people who have disturbed the mediumship, they mention when they die, they mention that their physical body used to be numb, but whatever voices or whatever visions or whatever ideas, they were still there, because it's part of the spirit, not the physical body itself. So food for thought. My friends, any comments before we close? Time flies. Look, 10:05.
Wow.
Any comments, questions before we close?
No.
So, I have a comment here. I only saw now. So it's Anna Alice who mentioned. So she said, "Hi, interesting book about suicide. This Memórias de um Suicida." Yes, Memoirs of a Suicide, from Ivone do Amaral Pereira. I don't know if it has a version in English. Yes, there is a version in English. You can buy it in the United States Spiritist Federation. You can go online and you can purchase the book in English. So yes, Anna, this book is marvelous. It's fantastic. It's a very thick book, and it really provides a lot of explanations. Is a whole life story of many spirits together that they describe how they die and what happened to them when they cross over. So an amazing book. Thank you for the mention. So, my friends, we are closing, and super happy to be able to talk about a very heavy subject, but I believe we were able to pass a positive feedback and understanding to everybody that will be listening from us in the recorded version. Thank you so much, Juan and Mary, for your participation.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask Mary to do our final prayer.
Okay, before I do the prayer, really quick, because you mentioned that there is help, and there is. Actually, before I started, when you asked me to participate, I went on YouTube and I searched for a prayer for people that have, because in the gospel we have for someone that just died, but we don't have one for people who committed suicide. So I went on YouTube and I thought that was really interesting. And I typed in prayer for somebody who committed suicide. And the first thing that pops out is, if you need help, there's a chat. It opens up a chat and a phone number if you need help, like immediately.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So if you, there's help everywhere, everywhere. So,
It is true.
okay. And with that, we're going to, as we close our eyes, we'd like to open our hearts in gratitude for being a part of this study. We truly hope that everyone was able to benefit. I know we were. We truly hope that if we have by any chance attracted any brother or sister that has committed suicide, has made that mistake, we want you to feel the comfort that God, only God, our Creator, can bring to you right now. And there is hope. Just please remember to love yourself, to love God, our Creator, and just keep seeking help. There are plenty of meetings, there are plenty of people praying at this time. Just go where you see the light, where you think you'll find some hope. We were happy that you were here with us. We're happy that everyone that was here with us got to learn a little bit more. And with that, we ask you, dear God, to bless us and protect us, especially our children. Please help us be there for our brothers and sisters with the little knowledge that we have. Please fill our hearts with love and hope. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
So be it.
So be it.
So
Thank you.
thank you so much, my friends. Very, very beautiful. As you said, Mary, there is hope, and if you have a family member who died from suicide, pray for him, for her, because God is a mother, father, very, very loving and merciful, and the prayers will help your friend, your family member to feel better, to be stronger, and until he or her is prepared to come back again and to have another chance to have another life. So now, just finalizing, today is November 7, and Thanksgiving is coming close. If you are here in Miami and you would like to have Friendsgiving, please let us know. We are having a great Friendsgiving in miainnerlight next Tuesday. And we are going to have a great dinner. Will be a wonderful celebration. Hopefully you can join us, or you can be with somebody else in this wonderful time in the year with all the religions celebrated together. So my friends, thank you so much. It was a blessing to
Thank
have
you.
you here with me tonight. Thank you. See you
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody. See you
Bye bye.
soon.
Good night.
Okay.
Good night.